I will be shocked if you haven't seen this. Are either of you familiar with a little anime called Sailor Moon?
Heck yeah.
I am aware of it. Yes, I've seen it.
Now, there's a second part to this question. Did you grow up watching it as a child? Did you watch the dub as a child? And I'm talking the original DIC dub.
Yes, I believe so.
Her name is Serena.
I watched what was. I watched the one. Pardon me, the North American adaptation.
The theme song is "Fighting Evil by Moonlight, Saving Love by
Fighting Evil by Moonlight."
I saw. Okay.
Living life by day.
My intro into Sailor Moon World was that version, but then I became aware. Oh. So many actual, the Japanese version's very different.
Your reaction to this has been the reaction of pretty much every Sailor Moon fan I've spoken to this week. They all exactly the same thing. You said it's pretty much exactly the same way they did, which is, I could summate it this way. I said I watched the DIC dub for fun, and it was varying degrees of why would you do that and oh, I'm sorry.
there are such better versions. Why did you do that one?
There's much better versions of that anime you could have watched. Why would you pick the bad one? Because I grew up with, there's two animes I grew up with, Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, and it was this dub of Sailor Moon. That's where my nostalgia lies. That's where my love lies. And I never thought it was bad until my friends told me it was. And watching it this time, which, as an aside, very difficult to find. Like, I had to go on a blog on a random website to find it, but I found it. And, you can tell...
They want to bury this version.
Fun fact, the creators of the manga and anime hate it so much, they sued DIC so they can never sell it or release it. So you will never find an official release of it, because they hated it that much.
Challenge accepted.
But it's very funny because it's one of those times where I can tell something is off. I can tell the characterization that they've gone with doesn't match the footage that they're using, because like Serena, I think her name is, what's her name in Japanese? Usagi, right?
Usagi.
Yeah. Usagi.
Because it's supposed to reflect the fact that she looks like she has bunny ears, right?
Bunhead is part of the thing.
Yeah, is what the guy calls her, right? Yeah. So Serena is what I'm going to refer to her as. That's the DIC version of her. Is awful. Like, she's terrible. She's mean to everyone. She complains about everything. She whines and cries constantly. And her very nature...
That's so different than the version that I watched a while ago, where she loves everyone and wants to be friends with everyone and is super nice to everyone.
The nature
of
the Sailor Moon Crystal version.
Yeah, that's the version that I watched.
I love that version. Her art style is really cool.
Her very nature and the way she behaves is totally at odds with the fact that she's supposed to be a superhero. So she just complains about everything. Everything all of the time. And the other funny bit is, and I don't know, is the fact that his name is Darren in this dub, but is the fact that he's tuxedo mask, is that supposed to be like a mystery? Like, are you supposed to not know?
When you say you, do you mean as the audience or do you mean the characters?
The audience.
No, as the audience, in the version that I watched anyway, it seemed pretty clear from pretty early on.
Okay.
Maybe like the first couple episodes, they're supposed to be like, who is he? But they do away with that in the Crystal version anyway. They do away with that pretty fast.
Because like, this dub wants it to be a mystery. They want you to not know who Tuxedo Mask is, because he'll just show up randomly and he'll be like, he doesn't even do anything half the time. He just shows up and he's like, don't give up, Sailor Moon. I'm here. I'm Tuxedo Mask. And then he just leaves. Like,
so
and like
if there's one thing that like superhero stuff and this by extension have ever taught me, it's domino masks don't hide your identity. You would be able to tell who he is right away.
Right?
I can tell who he is right away. You can see all but this part of his face, like all but like this of his face. Guys, can you tell who I am? Can you tell? Like it doesn't hide enough of your face.
He doesn't,
right? Like
he doesn't do it. He shows up and he's like, there's one episode literally where he shows up and he's like, don't give up on yourself, Sailor Moon. Bye, and then he leaves. Like,
well, there's like a conflict happening too. Like he'll see some stuff go down, and there's be like, here's a word of advice, bye. And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just here to inspire you.
Bye
now.
But the show very much wants you to be like,
got this.
you've got this. You don't need me.
You've got the superpowers, not me. Bye-bye.
But like but the show absolutely wants it to be a mystery. It wants you to not know who Tuxedo Mask is, except for every time Darren shows up, it plays the musical sting. So we might as well be wearing a neon sign that's like, I'm Tuxedo Mask, in case you couldn't figure it out.
I mean, to be fair, that the DIC version of it, isn't that supposed to be for like 8-year-olds?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it very much is like every episode is trying to teach you a lesson about, and it's very funny because every episode ends on a Sailor Moon says, where she's supposed to be giving advice, except for some of them are just her fighting with other characters. Like there's one where it's like it does the music as if she's supposed to be giving the advice, and it's just her and Sailor Mars arguing.
That's the biggest thing that I remember of that version of the show is Sailor Moon and Sailor Mars like hating each other.
Oh no, Sailor Moon is
to the point where when I got to her showing up in the Crystal version, and she was just immediately super nice, and they were best friends, and I was like, this doesn't feel like the Sailor Mars I know.
Yeah,
this
she's
feels
supposed to
weird.
be she's supposed to be the hardened badass, and yet she constantly argues or yells at Serena. That's the whole gag. And then the Sailor Mercury, she's the British mousy Brit. She's mousy and British, and she does the tech. And then I just got to Sailor. I think I'm just about to get to Sailor Saturn, and she's Sporty Spice basically.
I mean, there's the two who in that version are cousins, and they're definitely not cousins.
They're definitely not cousins. They're definitely
who are they? Pluto and
Neptune and
Uranus.
Neptune and Uranus.
Neptune and Uranus. Right. Yeah, in that version they call them cousins, and it's like they're not cousins.
But yeah, every like one of the episodes is literally like a lesson about why you shouldn't over-exercise. And it ends with the Sailor Moon going, and remember, kids, it's like something from the 80s. And remember, kids, you don't want to undereat or overexercise too much. That could be bad for you. The key is to only do it a healthy amount. Sailor Moon says. It's one of those shows. But there's a really funny...
Good with her hands.
There's a really funny episode where the evil bad guy whose name is Jediah, he shows up...
like gemstones and minerals and stuff.
There's an episode where he shows up as a fitness instructor, and he's like, here, you have to train on the bicycles, and then you get in this obviously evil looking rejuvenation chamber, and he's like, my name is Jed, and it's very clearly the bad guy wearing a stupid hat, like not even remotely like disguising himself, and Sailor Moon doesn't instantly recognize him. What are we doing here, Sailor Moon?
So Sailor, I mean, to be fair, she's like 14, and I think she's supposed to be blonde and dumb.
I mean, she's pretty dumb. I will say I respect how long, in terms of storytelling, like it doesn't.
And plus, do you not remember being 14 and dumb? I remember being 14 and very dumb.
That is true. I was pretty dumb. I will say the surprising bit to me was that it takes so long for the other Sailor Scouts to show up. Like Sailor Mercury doesn't show up till like episode 4 or 5.
So one thing, how much of it did you watch?
About 11 episodes.
Okay, are you get? I don't imagine you are. Are you gonna keep watching it? Because I would be fascinated to hear how different Mini Moon is in that version. Because in the Crystal version, that whole plot line, I find it weird. It's weird.
Oh, it gets really strange in
Like
Crystal. Like
it's weird. She's
the
weird and
the Deke
she's like into her
uncomfortable.
dad.
the Deke dub doesn't go
Yeah,
that
like
far. I know at a certain point it switches over and then it became Sailor Moon R, which was that's where you got the twins who had the tree. Um, yeah, the only version of it I know is the one where Canadians out there, Sugar from YTV plays Mini Moon.
yeah,
And then,
Mini Moon. Yeah,
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
that's all I
And,
remember.
and all I'll say is in the Crystal version, she gets weird. It gets weird. It's weird.
Fair enough.
I
The
find
Dark
it
Lady
weird.
arc is
Yeah,
fascinating. I'd love
it's
to
a tr-
cosplay just as her, like, her look. It's pretty,
that's fair.
like, bubblegum witch vibes. I was like, okay.
It's just the character motivations are what like because like right from when she shows up and like it's just she's a weird character.
It's
um
strange.
yeah, no, I just appreciated that. Yeah, it's like, yeah, the first, like, she gets her powers, and then there's like 2 or 3 episodes on her own, and then, yeah, then Sailor Mercury shows up, and then there's like 2 episodes just the two of them, and then Sailor Mars shows up, and then there's just 2 episodes just the three of them, and it's like, yeah, it takes a while for each of the teammates to like show up. Like, again, I'm 11 episodes in, and not all of them are there,
Nice, nice.
but otherwise.
Are there any?
Hey there, everybody. It's NCAR Justin here to ask you, did you grow up with this dub like I did, or do you just want to tell me all the reasons why it's bad like all my other friends did? It's alright. You can tell me all the reasons why it's bad in essay-long comments. It's fine. It's fine. Either way, if you'd like to see the full episode that this video is from, you can click the box on the right. That's going to take you to our full anime part 3. We talked about all sorts of animes. Our good friend Soraya joined us. We had a good time. You can click that there. Or you can click the video on the right, or box on the right. That's going to take you to a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I mean, why haven't you? Hit that like button if you could. It really does help us out. And we'll see you all in the next video, everybody.